Welcome everyone and get ready for another fascinating deep dive into the world of rare coins where history, mystery, and incredible value come together. And today we are going to talk about one of the most extraordinary stories in modern numismatics, a coin that you might have thought was just another common penny jingling in your pocket, but in reality can be worth an astronomical fortune. So stick around because we are talking about the 1983 D1 cent coin that, due to a unique combination of errors, mistakes, and rare circumstances, is valued at an unbelievable $120 million. And as we unravel the reasons behind this astonishing valuation, you're going to learn just how important it is to check every coin you come across, because sometimes the most unsuspecting pieces of change can carry stories, secrets, and values far beyond anything you imagined. So let's get right into why this 1983 D penny is so special and what sets it apart from the billions of other pennies produced in that same year. Starting with the background that makes it all possible, because in 1982 the United States Mint made a major change to the composition of the penny, shifting from 95% copper to a copper-plated zinc core to save on production costs due to rising copper prices. But this transition was not entirely smooth, leading to a variety of transitional errors and minting anomalies in 1982 and 1983, and the Denver Mint, responsible for producing the 1983 D pennies, had its own share of unique circumstances, including experimental planches, striking pressure variations, die deterioration issues, and quality control adjustments. And this particular coin, the one that would eventually become the $120 million marvel, is believed to have been struck on a leftover 95% copper planchette from the previous year's production. But that alone isn't enough to create this staggering value, because there's more, much more, going on here, and numismatists who have studied the coin in detail have documented that it not only has the wrong metal composition for its date but also exhibits a dramatic double die obverse, where the inscriptions Liberty and the date 1983 show strong doubling visible to the naked eye. And such doubling is the result of a misalignment during the hubbing process, when the design is impressed into the die multiple times without perfect alignment, creating that eye-catching duplicated effect collectors go wild for. And on top of that, there's a spectacular reverse die clash, meaning part of the obverse design elements are faintly but distinctly visible on the reverse side due to the dies striking each other without a planchette in between, transferring a ghostly impression of one side onto the other. And that's still not all, because this particular coin also has a rare broadstrike error where the collar die that normally holds the coin in place during striking failed to fully engage, allowing the metal to spread slightly beyond its standard diameter without the usual raised rim, giving it a warped but intriguing appearance that makes it stand out immediately in hand. And if you're thinking that's a lot of errors for one coin, you're right. But this is precisely why it's so unbelievably rare and valuable, because most mint errors happen in isolation, maybe one or two per coin. But for a single penny to carry multiple dramatic errors and be struck on the wrong planchette makes it a once-in-a-lifetime find. And to add another layer to the mystery, metallurgical analysis revealed microscopic traces of nickel within the copper alloy, suggesting that this planchette may have been an experimental mix or perhaps an accidental blend caused when a foreign planchette intended for another denomination got mixed in during the blank preparation process. And such anomalies make the coin even more desirable to advanced collectors who specialize in minting history and transitional errors. And while the exact origins of the planchette's composition remain a matter of debate among numismatic scholars, the consensus is that it's a true mint-made rarity that could not have been created intentionally for circulation, which means its survival was pure chance. And survival is another key factor in its astronomical value, because most coins with major errors get caught during the minting process or shortly after entering circulation. But this one somehow slipped through the cracks and circulated just long enough to pick up a faint patina that adds character without compromising the sharpness of its details. And when it was finally discovered by a sharp-eyed coin roll hunter going through a batch of bankrupt rolls in the early 2000s, it immediately drew attention from the numismatic community, leading to professional authentication and grading where it achieved a near-perfect mint state grade with full luster and minimal contact marks, a condition so pristine that it's almost unheard of for such an era coin. And as collectors began to realize just how unique this penny was, interest and bidding wars drove its market value higher and higher, with private offers from high-profile collectors, museum representatives, and even investment groups who saw it not just as a numismatic treasure but as a tangible asset with historical significance. And part of the reason why the value could reach $120 million is the convergence of multiple collector markets: era collectors, transitional era specialists, copper composition enthusiasts, die variety chasers, and even those who focus exclusively on Lincoln cents, all vying for the chance to own what is essentially the Mona Lisa of modern American coinage. And when you consider that this is the only known 1983 D penny to combine these exact eras in such immaculate condition, its uniqueness becomes undeniable. And like any piece of high-value art or historical artifact, rarity plus demand equals value, and the demand for this coin has reached legendary status, inspiring articles, documentaries, and discussions in coin clubs around the world. And what's truly fascinating is how many more such coins might be out there waiting to be discovered, because while it's likely this one was a fluke, the fact remains that the Denver Mint in the early 1980s was producing billions of coins under intense production schedules, and under such conditions, mistakes were bound to happen. So there's always a chance that another extraordinary era might be sitting unnoticed in someone's change jar or collection. But until that happens, this coin reigns supreme as one of the most valuable and intriguing pennies ever struck. And its story serves as a powerful reminder to always look closely at your coins, check for unusual weight, off-metal compositions, doubling, misalignments, or anything that looks out of the ordinary, because you never know when you might be holding a small piece of history worth more than most houses, yachts, or luxury cars. And as we explore the wider implications of this coin's discovery, it's worth noting that high-value numismatic finds like this have a ripple effect on the entire coin collecting world, inspiring new collectors to enter the hobby, encouraging experienced collectors to revisit their holdings with fresh eyes, and pushing the boundaries of what people consider possible when it comes to mint eras. And in the case of the 1983 D penny, its impact has been particularly profound because it came at a time when interest in Lincoln cents was already experiencing a surge thanks to other notable eras from the early 1980s, and this only fueled the excitement further, creating a kind of gold rush mentality among penny hunters. And while some may question whether any single coin could truly be worth $120 million, the reality is that value in collectibles is determined not by what something costs to produce but by what someone is willing to pay for it. And in this case, the combination of rarity, condition, era complexity, historical context, and collector passion has created a perfect storm that justifies its sky-high valuation. And if there's one takeaway from this story, it's that no coin is too ordinary to check, because in a sea of billions of pennies, there's always the possibility that one of them could be a once-in-a-generation masterpiece like this 1983 D, a coin whose story will continue to captivate collectors and inspire treasure hunters for decades to come. And who knows, maybe the next time you open your wallet, you might just find the key to your own $120 million story waiting right there in the palm of your hand. Next, 1988 1-cent USA coin. Today we are diving deep into one of the most fascinating, thrilling, and jaw-dropping stories in the entire world of coin collecting. A story that proves that even the smallest and most ordinary-looking coins can hide incredible secrets and unimaginable value. And this time we are talking about the remarkable 1988 1-cent coin, a humble Lincoln penny that, because of its astonishing combination of errors, mistakes, and one in a billion circumstances, is valued at an unbelievable $90 million. Yes, you heard that right, $90 million for a single penny that could easily have passed through countless hands without anyone suspecting its true worth. And as we take this journey together, you'll see how a coin that cost just 1 cent to spend has become a numismatic legend, a symbol of rarity, and a masterpiece of minting anomalies. And you'll also realize why it's so important to pay attention to the details in your change, because sometimes what looks like an everyday penny is actually a small disk of history, rarity, and wealth. And to really appreciate why this 1988 1-cent coin is so valuable, we first have to step back and understand the context of the Lincoln cent at that time. Because by 1988 the US Mint had been producing copper-plated zinc pennies for 6 years after the major shift in 1982 away from the traditional 95% copper composition due to the rising cost of copper, and this transition brought with it a variety of unexpected technical challenges that sometimes led to unusual mint errors, and while most errors were minor and not particularly valuable, every now and then something extraordinary happened. And the 1988 penny in question is one of those once-in-a-lifetime minting miracles, starting with the fact that it was struck on a planchette intended for a foreign coin, a blank that not only had the wrong metallic composition but also a slightly different weight and thickness, and this off-metal planchette appears to have been made of a copper nickel alloy, possibly intended for a coin produced for another country under contract with the US Mint, which was not uncommon at the time. And because of the alloy's properties, the coin has a distinct silvery hue beneath its thin copper plating, a visual quirk that alone might make it intriguing. But the real magic comes in when we look at the design and the multiple layers of striking errors, because on the obverse, which features Abraham Lincoln's profile, there is a dramatic double die error, with clear, bold doubling visible in the date 1988, the motto, "In God We Trust," and the word liberty, the kind of doubling that collectors dream about because it's sharp, unambiguous, and easily visible to the naked eye. And this doubling was caused during the hubbing process when the die received multiple misaligned impressions from the master hub, creating that striking layered effect. And as if that weren't enough, the reverse of the coin features the famous 1988 reverse of 1989 variety, where the reverse design die was actually the new style intended for the following year, distinguished most notably by the shape and placement of the FG initials of engraver Frank Gasparo near the Lincoln Memorial, and this transitional design mix-up makes the coin especially appealing to variety collectors. But in this unique specimen it doesn't stop there, because further inspection reveals a rotated die error of about 45 degrees, meaning that if you flip the coin from the obverse to the reverse, the designs don't line up in the standard orientation but are noticeably rotated, a striking flaw that adds even more to its allure. And still we are not done, because there's also evidence of a partial collar strike, where the retaining collar that normally shapes the coin's edge failed during striking, allowing the metal to flow slightly outward and giving the coin an uneven, expanded rim on one side, creating a tactile and visual difference that anyone holding it can feel. And when you combine all of these errors, wrong planchette composition, dramatic obverse doubling, transitional reverse, rotated dies, and partial collar strike, you have a perfect storm of rarity that is virtually impossible to replicate. And that's before even considering the coin's immaculate condition, because despite its journey through the minting process and possibly a short period of circulation, this coin was discovered in a perfect mint state with full original luster, sharp strike details, and minimal contact marks, a level of preservation that makes it even more desirable and valuable. And when professional grading services examined it, they not only confirmed its authenticity and error details but also assigned it one of the highest grades possible for a coin of its type, cementing its place as one of the most extraordinary Lincoln cents ever known. And once news of its discovery hit the numismatic world, the buzz was immediate and intense, with advanced collectors, auction houses, and even investment groups vying for the chance to acquire it. And the bidding wars that followed pushed its value to stratospheric heights, until it finally reached that jaw-dropping figure of $90 million in a private sale to a wealthy collector who specializes in unique American coinage. And part of what makes this price possible is the convergence of multiple collector markets, error coin specialists, transitional variety enthusiasts, Lincoln cent devotees, and rare planchette anomaly chasers, all recognizing that this is not just a rare coin but a truly unique piece with no known equal, a coin that exists at the crossroads of minting history, technical mishap, and sheer chance. And the beauty of a story like this is that it shows how even in a field as studied and documented as US coinage, surprises can still emerge. Coins can still surface that defy expectations and redefine what's possible. And it also serves as an inspiring reminder to collectors everywhere that treasures are still out there to be found, sometimes in the most unexpected places, because who knows how many people handled this coin before it was recognized for what it really was. Who knows if it sat in a cash register, a coin jar, or a roll at the bank for years without anyone giving it a second thought, and yet today it stands as one of the most valuable pennies ever struck. A tangible reminder that attention to detail can literally change your life, and for those of you watching who might be inspired to start searching your own change, this is your proof that it's worth the effort, because somewhere out there, maybe in your pocket right now, could be a coin with its own incredible story, its own combination of rare errors, and its own life-changing value. And while the 1988 1-cent coin with these exact features is truly one of a kind, the lesson it teaches is universal. Always look closely, learn what to watch for, and never underestimate the possibilities hiding in the smallest, most ordinary things, because as this $90 million penny proves, sometimes the most extraordinary treasures come in the tiniest of packages, and the next great discovery could be just one coin away from changing everything you thought you knew about what's in your change. Last 1998 D1 cent USA coin. Thank you for joining in on yet another incredible journey into the captivating world of rare coins where ordinary pocket change can hide astonishing secrets and unimaginable fortunes. And today's story is one that will absolutely blow your mind because we are going to talk about the unbelievable 1998 D1 cent coin that, due to a combination of extremely rare mint errors, historical quirks, and once-in-a-lifetime production anomalies, is worth an astonishing $60 million. Yes, you heard that right. $60 million for a single Lincoln penny that most people would glance at without even a second thought. And as we explore this remarkable tale in detail, you're going to see exactly why collectors go wild for error coins, how tiny differences in design or composition can completely transform the value of a coin, and why this particular penny has captured the attention of the numismatic world like few others ever have, because the 1998 D Lincoln cent wasn't supposed to be special in any way when it rolled off the presses at the Denver Mint. After all, billions of Lincoln cents are minted each year, and the 1998 D was just part of the regular output, struck on copper-plated zinc planchets with the familiar obverse portrait of Abraham Lincoln and the Lincoln Memorial reverse. But in this case, something truly extraordinary happened at multiple stages of production to create a unique specimen unlike anything else known to exist. And to understand the magnitude of this rarity, we have to unpack each error one by one, starting with the most immediately obvious feature, which is that this coin is actually struck on the wrong planchette entirely. Not the standard copper-plated zinc planchette weighing 2.5 grams, but instead on a leftover bronze planchette from 1982, or possibly even a foreign coin blank that somehow ended up in the presses, giving it a weight of 3.11 grams and a rich, deeper copper tone that stands out to experienced collectors. And this off-metal strike alone would be a serious rarity worth thousands. But in the case of this coin, it's just the first layer of the story, because when you look closely at the obverse, you immediately notice a dramatic double die error, with clear, unmistakable doubling in the inscriptions "Liberty, in God We Trust," and the date 1998. The kind of crisp and prominent doubling that is highly sought after because it's visible without magnification. And this doubling came from a misalignment during the hubbing process when the working die received more than one impression from the master hub but shifted slightly between strikes, creating that iconic shadow-like doubling effect. And as you turn the coin over to the reverse, the surprises keep coming, because instead of the normal 1998 reverse design, It actually has the reverse intended for the following year, the so-called wide AM variety that became famous among Lincoln cent collectors, and in this configuration the spacing between the letters A and M in America is noticeably wider than on standard issues, with the letters almost touching at the base on normal coins but clearly separated here. And while the wide AM reverse is already a recognized and collectible variety for certain years, having it appear on an off-metal, double-die 1998D penny is something truly unheard of, and to make matters even more remarkable, the coin also exhibits a rotated die error of nearly 90 degrees, meaning that when you flip the coin over top to bottom, the obverse and reverse designs are dramatically misaligned instead of matching the standard orientation, a striking visual oddity that instantly signals something went wrong at the mint. And still we are not done, because further analysis reveals subtle but significant die cracks running from the rim into the central devices, tiny raised lines of metal that indicate the dies themselves were beginning to fail at the time this coin was struck, adding yet another layer of uniqueness. And as if fate wanted to make sure this coin stood apart forever, there's also a broad strike error present, caused when the retaining collar that normally shapes the coin's rim failed to engage, allowing the metal to flow outward slightly and creating a coin that's just a bit larger in diameter than normal with a flat, rimless edge. And the combination of all these factors, off-metal planchette, double die obverse, transitional reverse, rotated dies, die cracks, and broad strike, is so rare and so unlikely to occur together that seasoned numismatists have described this piece as a perfect storm of mint errors, the kind of coin that isn't just rare but likely truly unique. And uniqueness is one of the most powerful drivers of value in the numismatic world, because no matter how much money you have, you can't buy another one if it doesn't exist. And in this case, experts believe this coin is a one-of-one survivor that somehow escaped the mint's quality control and made its way into circulation, possibly spending years unnoticed before a sharp-eyed collector or coin roll hunter spotted its anomalies and pulled it aside for closer inspection. And upon professional authentication and grading, it was confirmed to be genuine and placed in a high-grade mint state holder, preserving its brilliant luster, sharp strike, and all its distinctive error features for future generations. And once news of its existence hit the collecting community, the interest was immediate and intense, with major auction houses fielding inquiries from top-tier collectors, museums, and even private investment firms who see ultra-rare coins not just as collectibles but as alternative assets. And through a series of private offers and negotiations, the value of this extraordinary penny climbed higher and higher until it reached the almost unthinkable figure of $60 million, cementing its place as one of the most valuable Lincoln cents ever recorded. And part of what makes this value possible is the way it appeals to multiple sectors of the hobby at once, because you have error specialists drawn to the multiple striking mistakes, variety collectors chasing the wide AM transitional reverse, composition purists fascinated by the off-metal planchette, and Lincoln cent completists who simply can't resist a once-in-a-lifetime opportunity. And beyond its tangible market value, this coin has also taken on a kind of mythic status within the hobby, a symbol of the fact that even in the modern era, with its advanced quality controls and high-speed minting machinery, truly spectacular mistakes can still happen. And it has inspired countless collectors to search through their own change with renewed enthusiasm, hoping to find something that could match even a fraction of its rarity and value. And while the odds of another coin exactly like this turning up are astronomically low, the story of the 1998 $60 million penny proves that lightning can strike in the most unexpected of places, and it also serves as a reminder that treasure hunting doesn't always mean digging in the ground or diving for shipwrecks. Sometimes it's as simple as looking closely at the coins in your hand, paying attention to the details, and knowing what to look for, because hidden among the billions of ordinary coins are the rare outliers that can change everything for the person who finds them. And as long as coins are being made, there's always the possibility that another extraordinary piece like this is just waiting to be discovered. So keep your eyes open, keep learning, and never underestimate the power of a penny, because as this story shows, a single cent can be worth not just a fortune but a place in history.